was key. There's always that thing like comedy makes thriller look silly, and thriller breaks comedy. So it's like if you want to have both, like the big danger in with such a script is to have neither.
Is it Tomas or Thomas? What are we going with here?
Thomas.
Tomas. Okay, I figured it sounded French to me, so it makes
It is
more
fair.
sense.
It spells the same as in English, but we pronounce it Thomas.
I like that. Wow, this was a fun ride. I was saying the first thought I had about this film, is that 10, 15 years ago, these characters would have been reversed. It would be the guy that would be the assassin, and the wife that would be, trying to figure out what's with her husband.
And it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
Or Stallone would be it too in that way. It adds so much more like creativity and just intrigue when it's the other way around in so many ways too. Another thought I had too here is that, and tell me, you directed this obviously, so if this was kind of the plan, but there's moments, I think you can see this film from two perspectives of these characters. If you see it from Dave's perspective, it's kind of a comedy, but when you see it from Kaley's character, Emma's, it's an action, like serious thing that's going on. Is this how you intend it to be? Because when I'm watching, I'm like, wow, when I see one character, his profession, it's just like a comedy film, but another, it's like, oh wow, it's a serious action thriller drama.
It's a very clever way to put it. And that balance between comedy and action was the very endeavor of the film. It was what was we knew from the start that was going to be the element which would make success or failure in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, getting it right was key. There's always that thing like comedy makes thriller look silly, and thriller breaks comedy. So it's like if you want to have both, like the big danger in with such a script is to have neither. And it's like, and so you need to find a way to make these two elements sync together, and that was a lot of work. That was a lot of like thought. Like we really had to find the right way. And in many scenes, I was not completely sure how it was going to turn out in the edit, and we played it in two different ways. Like for instance, the bar scene between Kaley and David in Berlin when they're reunited. We really shot two versions of this one.
Interesting.
Pure comedy and a pure like super serious husband and wife. And in the end, it's kind of a mix that we used, but it's more the comedy version. But we knew that it was going to be the challenge in the edit. Find the sweet spot when to go funny, when to stay serious, and so on.
You know what? And I've noticed those edits too. I'm glad you mentioned the edits because they're very key. Like one scene when he basically a knife's going through a head, and then a second later you have the kids running up like, "Oh, Dad, do you need a Band-Aid?" I thought it went from pure like terrors, like thriller to comedy. But it's not like haha funny comedy. It's just like a natural. It makes you chuckle, sort of comedy, because it's an innocent kind of comedy.
That makes it funny.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's juxtaposing drama and comedy is old as drama, basically. Like Shakespeare that already. Like it's been going on for centuries, but it's still a very efficient tool, and we keep using it again and again.
I loved it. I just thought the editing and the way you directed it, I thought it was so perfect, and it was subtle, but like a quick turn, subtle, but also the comedy is innocent in a way. It's not like haha moment here, we're planting a comedic moment.
It's not goofy. It's never goofy.
It's not
It's
goofy, right?
and you're absolutely right when you say that. Seen from David's point of view, it's a comedy, and from her, it's very serious. I mean,
Mhm.
she's struggling to save her life, her family, her couple, everything at the same time, and it's not fun. Seen from him, it's a pure comedy. Like really, it's a story with it's about it's a couple, it's a funny clown, serious clown couple.
Mhm.
And what's really surprising is that the serious clown is Kaley, who is supposedly the funniest actor of the duo,
Right.
and uh, and she's been very brave and loyal with that. She really went for the character, which
Uh-huh.
but and yet sometimes she was like there are scenes where she's entitled, like she can go for the comedy, and she was for her it was just such a relief to be back in her comfort zone. And I think what like in the ending, like when they're running with the guns and everything, which is really where they were allowed to be funny, both of them,
Mhm.
was a moment of great joy for her, I think.
Yeah, and I mean everything about this title, it kind of like really role play. It really kind of says so many true things about these actors and everything about this movie too. Because like, when we're talking about a title role play, like like you just mentioned, Kaylee's known for comedy, and here she's serious. David is a very dramatic actor, a really good
And
dramatic
it's
actor.
super funny. Yeah,
he
yeah.
he plays great like deadpan comedy here. It's deadpan. He's kind of serious about everything, but it comes off comedic.
Absolutely serious. It's like Buster Keaton. Like really, he's super serious all the time. Like he never, he's never laughing above the shoulder of the character. He's
Mhm.
never, like poking his head as an actor behind the character, saying, "Hey, you see what I did?" He never
Yeah.
does that. Right?
No,
He's like
he's
right in
serious about it.
character. Yeah,
Yeah.
super serious. That's what makes it funny for us. It allows us as an audience to really have fun.
Casting these two, I mean, we know what kind of like great actors they are, and what they've done work wise, but did you have him on your mind initially, like, oh, we could get Kaley and David, it'd be great? Or was this like just a process that you kind of looked into them? Because I felt like
Always,
you had to
it's
get the right
always a
mix here.
process.
You
You
had to
know,
get the
like
right mix, and you did.
yeah, what? No, Katie was attached to the film before I
Okay.
was. So she
Mhm.
was like, she was the first building block. We were building around her, which
Okay.
was great because like we knew we had this and this would not move. And and when the idea of David came up, uh, to me it was very surprising because I only knew him from Selma. So it was
Right.
Martin Luther King, basically. So it was not very funny.
Uh-huh.
And but then we met on Zoom, and well, I spent 2 hours laughing so much I had to have tissues to wipe my eyes. I was crying so much I was laughing. So and we were really having a lot of fun. So after this call, I felt like, okay, yeah, of course that's it, like no doubt at all.
Mm.
And then you met with Kaley, who was producing, so you had to convince her as well. And they spent to get 2 hours together, and then she texted me, yeah, I want to marry him. And and but it's always, what's funny, it's um every film I've ever made, and it's always like that. It always works like that. Every film I've made has gone through many options of casting. You offer this actor, he's not available. This one is available, but actually he's not, and so on.
Yeah.
And eventually, well, and but it would feel like it's the result. The end casting is random, but in fact, when you look at it in retrospect, it always feels like it couldn't be anyone else. Like they are the characters. Like no one could have been better as them.
Totally.
That,
It's a different movie. It's a different
yeah,
movie. If you cast one of them differently, it's a whole different movie. The dynamics
it's
change.
also because when you're casting, the movie is still a fantasy
Hmm.
uh, in everybody's mind. And when you think of it in retrospect, well, it's a reality. It's a film. It couldn't be it couldn't be any other. And that's great. I love this experience.
Hmm.
Uh, and sometimes it's more successful than others, but here we've been so blessed to have them, all of them.
Yeah. No, it worked out well. You must have shot this in Europe. I just noticed from the landscape and just looked like it couldn't have been like some Vancouver soundstage or whatnot.
No, it's all shot in Berlin, even
Yeah.
even New Jersey.
I love that. The authenticity. I've been to Berlin, and I'm like, the trees. I knew by the trees that like I could tell that this was Europe for sure. And it just stood out. And it's a character in it too, because I felt like I'm interested if they shot this like in some, you know, like I said, Vancouver or somewhere else like that, that just made look like it wouldn't feel that way. I just felt the authenticity of the location really played in so authentically to these characters, and it was a character in itself too.
Yeah, well, but Berlin is an incredible city. It
Mhm.
brings a very specific feel to the film, which is great.
Yeah, no question about it. I love that was done authentically in that way too. Wanted to ask you, you've worked on a show, Reacher, that is now you know, just premiered the second season. Did you know, like when you directed the first episode, did you know it's gonna be, oh, we got this, we nailed it, in this sort of thing? Because you know, the obviously the fans have loved it. It's been great. But I'm curious, did you know right away from the first episode when you kind of directed, like, we got something great here?
It was going to be a hit. Well, it felt like everybody when we did the pilot. I just did the pilot of Richard. Uh,
Right.
like everybody, like it was a big thing, and it was a big investment for everyone, and everyone really wanted it to be a success, and everything was there for that.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think when it's funny, like one day we were doing like camera tests.
Mhm.
The day when something happened for me and the camera operator, um, we were shooting some camera tests
Mhm.
for free, and we're trying different lenses and like camera tests,
Yeah.
and we had Alan with us, and we're just shooting his back. Like we just had his back, like full frame with a short lens, which made me feel like wow, like this. And we just looked at each other and, whoa, that's very impressive. And then we've been
Uh-huh.
using it. Like he was so physically
Yes.
incredible that it felt that, well, okay, Reacher was here. We had Reacher.
Mhm.
Um, and then all the rest, it's a super heavy production and there's lots of things and well so on so on. But this, in fact, it's like in the pilot, the moment when he takes his shirt off,
Yeah.
and he's changing, and I think to everybody it feels like, whoa, boy, that's that's somebody. And it's funny because sometimes it's just details like that, it's
Uh-huh.
your
No,
body
that was
language.
such a comment. I spoke to Alan about this too, and it's like, you know, he put in a lot of work into his physical appearance for this, and
Yeah.
and it really looked the part too. And I think people have taken to it and really believed the
Also,
character.
yeah, and also Alan has that little smirk, that
Oh
little
yeah.
twinkle in the eye, which it's the mix of that twinkle in the eye and those shoulders that makes Richard.
No question. I think you guys definitely pulled it off. Great show, and like I said, second season just started, so
I
it's
can't
really
wait to watch it.
good on that thing. Finally, you know, I'm gonna wrap with this. What sort of things you like to do when you're not working? I mean, I always feel like directors kind of need a getaway, you know, when you're not working, to just remove yourself from the thing. What do you like to do, in a sense, as a hobby or interest outside of you know, when you're not
Um,
working creating projects?
when I'm not working, I love to cook for my family. That's what I
Oh,
do.
nice.
I love it. Like it's an obsession for me. I think I get up in the morning and say, "What am I gonna cook for dinner?" And then I go shopping, and then I get it ready for my family. That's what I love doing most, like when I'm not working.
That's
Uh,
fantastic. Any go-to dishes that you make that like everyone waits for, and you
well,
feel
it
very
depends.
confident?
Sometimes my daughters, would rather have a pizza or a burger,
Of course.
but no, that's not what they get. So they get used to better food, and yeah, that's what I like to.
Oh,
That's my thing. I'm
fantastic.
French. What
You
can I
got a
say?
chef career potentially here too one day, you know, when you retire. That's awesome. I love learning things like that. Well, like I said, a lot of fun watching this film. I've enjoyed your previous work too. Keep on doing creative, fun things, and happy holidays for sure too.
You too. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
before.